of European conservatives and reformists in Europe. The Czech is known for his love of rock music and brands himself as a Euro realist.
I think there is a difference in meaning. In my understanding, Eurosceptic is someone who completely rejects the entire idea of European integration and who wants to dissolve the European Union or leave the European Union, while Euro-realist, in my understanding, is someone who wants to improve it, change it, scale it differently.
Questions coming in from our studio audience, one on EU foreign policy regarding the Middle East.
Saudi Arabia, but also Iran, I believe that we should be tougher. And frankly speaking, I have never been, for instance, a big friend to that kind of appeasement policy of Madame Mogherini vis-à-vis Iran. And I would probably, if I was in charge, I would probably advise the Commission or the High Representative for Foreign and Security Policy to be tougher on Iran.
The ACRE group, which Mr. Zaradil is representing, was created by British Conservatives in 2009, many of whom voted for Brexit. This leader says he's against Brexit, but also blames the EU for the UK voting to leave.
It was a mistake of the European Union that allowed one of its strongest and most successful members to leave. I believe that if David Cameron was offered at least something during those first negotiations, which he could have sold back home as a success or as a concession of the European Union, there might have been a different result of a referendum.
He might not be the most likely to take the EU Commission presidency, but a major focus of his role after EU elections will be building allies for his group in the European Parliament. He told us he's not willing to team up with some on the far right.
We wouldn't deal with Madame Le Pen, if I may pick up one example, for a few particular reasons. One is that she's pretty much protectionist against free trade, against trade deals, things like that. Coming from Central and Eastern Europe, I have certain suspicions about her relations with Russia. I would say that she's too...
But not Mr. Salvini.
Not Salvini, yeah.
Well, it is also one big question mark when it comes to Mr. Salvini. Yep.
And on current suggestions, the EU could tax plane fuels.
I'm against any pan-European taxation on anything because I think that states should tax,
but for aviation,
not the European Union.
Euronews has now had all the lead candidates in the elections answer questions on the sofa apart from one, the leader of the Parliament's biggest group, the European People's Party.
So Manfred Weber, if you're watching,
yes,
get in
we're
touch.
waiting. And thank you very much for everything.
Well, when voting begins next week, more than 20 candidates will be standing for election in an EU member state that's not their home country. Maeve McMahon explains.
His face may be familiar. But what you might not know is that the former Greek finance minister, Yanis Varoufakis, is a candidate for the European elections in Germany. And he's not the only one. Other European politicians have also chosen to run in other countries, like the former Europe minister from Italy's Matteo Renzi's Socialists, Sandro Gosci. He joined La Repubblica en Marche.
We cannot have a European democracy if we don't have European transnational political forces. We are 6 European citizens candidates with a different nationality from the French one. It really embodies the idea of politics without borders.
Among the cross-border candidates, there are also a few faces with familiar surnames, like this young Frenchman, Nicolas Barnier, the son of the EU Brexit negotiator. The Belgian Prime Minister, Charles Michel, invited him to join the French-speaking Belgian Liberals, but his challenge now, well, to win over Belgian voters who barely know him.
Of course I'm French, but we can be patriots and Europeans. They are not two incompatible concepts. We have to bear in mind that voting for EU elections, it is about voting a project rather than a person. Concerning my surname, me it's me, and my father is my father. He has his own commitments, as I have mine.
To date, only 4 MEPs have ever been elected outside their home country. And in the 2019 elections, although there'll be at least 20 cross-border candidates, there won't be transnational lists. But how likely are they to get a seat in the European Parliament? Well, this EU watcher, Eric Maurice, believes that these cross-border candidates have symbolic importance for European integration.
Those cross-border candidates are rarely in the top position in the list to be elected, so the number of people that manage to get a seat at the European Parliament is too low to